Minister Cele, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It is an extremely busy time for you and those in your department. Now, on Friday, there was news of a slight adjustment to some of those lockdown regulations. Those include allowing people to travel to other provinces for funerals if they get the correct police permits, as well as the go-ahead for spaza shops and informal traders to allow them to operate. What kind of impact do you think that will have on the work being done by the men and women in the police on the ground?
Well, good morning. Good morning on a Sunday morning. Indeed, these adjustments, they do have an impact to the police that as they think they are mastering this, all of a sudden the new one comes. The funeral one has been difficult for the nation because South Africa, with 9 provinces, remain one country. You'll find that most parents would be somewhere in KZN, Limpopo, or Eastern Cape, and children are in Johannesburg. So if parents get sick and die in Eastern Cape, which means the kids would not go there. So on that one, the Minister Dlamini Zuma led that relaxation, which is more humane, but it has given the extra work to the police. You still have to go to the police station, find the most senior person there, and that will sign you your permit to go home. Or the extra now is that you can go to the magistrate, and the magistrate signs you or a person that is delegated by the magistrate. It has given the extra, but we find it more humane. The spaza shops, again, it does give a little bit of an extra work for the police, but what it helps, it limits the traveling from township to the bigger supermarkets and the longer queues in the supermarkets, because people are encouraged to get whatever stuff they want at the nearest outlet. So if these places are open, it does help them that people don't have the longer walks and longer movement from the township or wherever they are to the big centers or supermarkets.
There's also been a change to the times that taxis are able to operate, to ensure that those South Africans working in those essential services are able to get to and from work. It's been 1 day since those new regulations kicked in yesterday morning. What have you heard from police members keeping an eye on transport systems?
We believe life is going to be better this week. Remember that last week was a crazy week, especially with the payment of pensions, the grants, the long queues, people going to buy food. And remember, they would get these grants in these supermarkets. So it was a combination of buying food and getting the grants. That is sorted this week, and the taxis were running the whole day. So the Minister of Transport has extended the hours from 5 to 10 in the morning and 4 to 9 in the evening. We believe that the taxi operators will stick with that time, and there's been an increase from 7 people to 10 people, and the government, led by the Minister of Health on this one, will provide the equipment, your mouth cover, your sanitizers, and all other gears like gloves and all that. We believe that will happen soon, and we hope that people will stick with the regulations. Unfortunately, up to this point, most people that have been arrested, it has been this transport violation. We hope that will come to an end, because people will have to behave. I've said it time and again, we don't enjoy to arrest people. We hope people will stick with the rules, but if they break the rules, it's our job to enforce the law.
Minister, I wonder if you could give us just some detail in terms of the inner structure of communication. How difficult is it to ensure that every member of the SAPS, when they come onto their new shift, is aware that perhaps there's been a slight change in the regulations since their last shift, perhaps 2 days ago? How have you gone about to ensure that every member of the police understands what those regulations are on a day-by-day basis?
Well, the members of the South African Police, there are 197,000 in the country. Most now and again, there will be almost 90,000 on duty around the country. So it's difficult push those down to the level of the station. But I've been impressed by the way the communication has happened. When we changed this, I think it was evening Thursday, I can't remember exactly the day. The next morning I was in Polokwane. At about 8 in the morning, I found that they had a new updated version of regulations that are gazetted. And I realized that our communication, better as it is, but it has improved. But that was the level of the generals and top there. And then the National Commission then will issue the new communique that will go to all stations about those changes. Sometimes in the stations that will be urban and suburban will go faster, but if there are stations that are really far remote in the rural areas, that might take some time to go there. But we have encouraged our members to phone the headquarters. We have encouraged our members to phone their station commanders to be able to get the new information going forward.
Now, you admitted that in the first 3 days of the lockdown, there were some 26 complaints that were laid against police after a few reports of heavy-handedness. Quite a few of them we saw videos on social media. But you said then on Friday that that number has now decreased. You're receiving far less complaints against the police. Why do you believe that is?
Yes, initially, I'm sure the police were getting in the gear of this lockdown, and maybe it's a question you have raised of how was the understanding initially going forward. I'm told that the numbers of the complaints have increased, but the IPT is separating between the normal complaint that would be there and those that are linked with the COVID-19. I think they are stabilizing. People are beginning to understand, but also maybe people in general themselves are beginning to understand and to be cooperative with these matters. Though the arrest numbers are quite high, I think that they are beginning to understand, and the police are beginning to understand, and trying to listen to what the president urged them. Remember, President addressed both the police and the soldiers, trying to say to them, look, people are not just enemies. We have one common enemy here. Let's try to be friendly and work together. And that is for both of us. It's for both of the officers and the communities out there to begin to work together, to begin to understand that if we don't stand together on this one, it will be catastrophic for everybody, and then that people are beginning to understand and beginning to assimilate and working together going forward. We hope that will be the direction from now on, so that we are able to spend more time fighting this enemy rather than fighting among ourselves.
Now, while coronavirus might be a common enemy, many women and children in South Africa find themselves locked down with their own personal enemy. You reported on Thursday that there's been some 87,000 complaints of gender-based violence that has been received. Those who work in that sector who have been telling us repeatedly that gender-based violence is a scourge in the country outside of the abnormal situation we find ourselves in say it, but this is not a surprise. How are you and the SAPS going about trying to deal with this issue around gender-based violence? Just last night we received a report from the Commissioner in Mpumalanga where 2 women were shot. One has died, one in a critical condition as a result of domestic violence. How are we going to deal with this, Minister?
Well, maybe one has an opportunity of dealing with this figure of 87. It could have been understood otherwise. 87,020. That is a 2019 complaints that were received in the center raised based on the gender violence. That was 2019. Starting from this year, there's been 15,000 received, but on the week since the declaration by the president of the state of disaster, we have received 2,230 of those complaints, of those phone calls made by the people complaining about the gender-based violence. 184 of those people have been charged. Indeed, there's been the increase of violence, which has been always the scourge in South Africa. Doesn't necessarily come with the lockdown. Is one area that South Africa will have to improve long after the lockdown has gone. We have tried to improve on our FCS, those are the Family and Child Special Units in the police station, which up to this point, by the way, have done a good job. You see, in South Africa at the present moment, we have got about 4,800 lifers, people that are doing life for the gender-based violence that have been sent in court for life. And these units are doing a good job, but as you have said, and fully agree with you, that is a bad sketch that it will have to make extra effort from all of us. Yes, we have found the reports at the present moment that there is an increase with this kind of the frustration that people are staying together, but that kind of staying together, it's something that we hope come the 16th it goes, and we believe that all people that commit that kind of crime will end in the hands of the police, and those people will have to go to prison.
Before I let you go, are you hoping that this ban on alcohol will be a mitigating factor in trying to bring those numbers down around issues of domestic violence?
Let me tell you the very interesting figures of the general crime since the lockdown has happened. So we have compared the same time last year from 27th of March to the 4th of April. We have discovered that period last year, 326 people were murdered. This time same, it is 94. Only 94 people that were murdered. It's a big number, but from 326 is a hell of a difference. The people that were raped were 699 same time last year. This year is 101, which is 598 down. The grave bodily harm GBH were 2,673. This year is 456. They are 2,217 down. But if you round up the cases that we call trio crime, those cases that bring fear to the South Africans, same time last year there were 8,853. This year there are 2,098, was 6,755 down. And we attribute this to the non-availability of alcohol.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Police Minister Bheki Cele joining us live there. We thank him for his time.